Hello, this is a review of the Motorola Triumph versus the Motorola Droid. The Motorola Triumph is through Virgin Mobile, while the Droid is through Verizon Wireless. Alright, first we're going to take a tour of the phones. Here is the Motorola Triumph. Um, on the side, you have your lock screen slash power button. In the front, you have your menu, home, back, and search keys. They are touchscreen. They're not hard keys. It on the bottom it has a USB and HDMI port. And on the whole entire right side, it just has the volume rockers and one speaker here. And on the other side, another speaker here. The two speakers on the Triumph gives it almost like a surround sound effect. It also has a front-facing VGA webcam. It has a LED notification light. Right there, it will appear when you have a notification. On the top, you have a 3.5 millimeter head jack. You have a 5 megapixel camera with an LED flash. And on the Motorola Droid, you have your back menu, home, and search keys. Again, touchscreen. You also have the dedicated camera button on the side. On the Triumph, they did not actually do that to clear up space. On the top, you have a lock screen and power button. On the left, you have a USB port. On the back, you have a 5 megapixel camera with an LED flash. And you also have your speaker right there. You can see it's the bronze colored line. And you have your volume rockers, a 3.5 millimeter head jack set. They actually almost resemble each other in a way. They're both made by Motorola. So the Motorola Triumph has like that kind of curve, just like the original Droid does going down. Oh, and also the Motorola Droid has a slide-out QWERTY keyboard, while the Motorola Triumph is touchscreen. Let's do a boot up test to see which one will turn on faster. This one being the Triumph, this one being the original Droid. While that's turning on, the Triumph has a 4.1-inch display, and the Droid has a 3.7-inch. Alright, it looks like the Triumph beat the Droid by like a matter of a microsecond, so they're about the same. Alright. Uh, they both have stock Android 2.2.2 Froyo. I believe the first Droid here was upgraded from 2.0 to 2.2, but I'm not quite sure. And since being Android, obviously, they're both Wi-Fi capable. The Triumph has a 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor, while the Droid has a 600 megahertz processor. So the Triumph will be much better for playing games and watching videos. They both have a 5 megapixel camera and an LED flash. However, the Triumph has the ability to record in 720p HD. The those are the main differences between the two. Then again, of course, biggest difference performance. I was playing around with both. I also noticed that the touchscreen on the Triumph seemed even, and I did not take off the second screen protector, but it seemed to be a lot more responsive than the original Droid did for the touchscreen. So it has a more responsive touchscreen. Also, speaking about the screen, I once being used to the Triumph going to 3.7 from a 4.1 inch screen, I really noticed the difference. And also, I feel that the Triumph has a better contrast than the original Droid. Uh, on the back of the Droid and Triumph and the back of the Droid, as you can see, they're pretty similar. They both have the Motorola logo, and they both have like where the speaker would be here. This one is for how you slide the battery pack, the battery cover rather. I haven't noticed besides that much differences besides between the two. If I could, I would both connect them both to Wi-Fi right now, but the Droid for some reason will not connect to Wi-Fi, and I'm not quite sure why. But I can try to do it again here. See if it will connect. I was having problems with it earlier. No, doesn't look like it will. All right. The Triumph, since it being on Virgin Mobile, a lot of people claim that it does not have a good signal strength compared to the Optimus V. I also used to have the Optimus V. I noticed something that the Triumph has less bars than the Optimus V in general, let alone how many you can have. So when I'm in places where I have all my bars with the Triumph, I'm usually right in front of a Sprint store. And of course, Virgin Mobile being off the Sprint towers, that's the reason why. But on the Motorola Droid being Verizon right now, I have all of my bars and a 3G connection, and I'm in a basement right now, and there's cement and concrete all around me. So, but a lot of times, where Verizon won't have signal, Virgin Mobile does, and vice versa. So really, it's a matter of your location, not so much the provider. Also, the internet between the two. What I mean by that is performance when they are on the same provider, and we both do have all of our bars. Of course, both being an EVDO, the closest thing to a 4G connection as possible, they are pretty close in speed. But the Triumph, being a 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, is a bit faster than the Motorola Droid. The Motorola Droid we've had seem to have a lot of problems freezing and actually just having to be to the point where I have to pull the battery out. And that's really about it. There isn't much else to say between the two. Um, the battery life uh, on the Triumph, take my advice, and this is all Androids in general, not even between these two. If you have live wallpaper, don't have live wallpaper unless you really, really need it, because that saved me about 50% of my battery life. It was more live wallpaper than it was brightness. And about brightness, you should set it to auto brightness. So if it's dark out, it will be bright. If it's bright out, it will be dark, or whatever that is. I forgot the order. Um, I have tried recording in both, and the performance of the Triumph versus the Droid is not even close, because the Triumph records in the 720p and plays back in the 720p. The Triumph is a better phone for recording. Also, I noticed for the LED flash, if you look at it again here, this one you can tell just right away from the back of this phone versus this phone. This one is a lot more outdated and older than this one, and this one just came out in '09, so it's not really old, and its operating system is up to date, but I don't feel that it can support it enough that it should have been upgraded to that because I believe it's coming from 2.0. I think it should have just gone to Eclair. Um, I don't believe that the first Droid supports Flash. I know that the Motorola Triumph does. And that's pretty much all of the differences between the two. Thanks, comment, like, all that good